we can get Janet helping us there, Janet Carol Lessin of Hawaii, with our ACO Association. We thank her for all these years with Aquarian Radio for syndicating our shows. We're available on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes is the big one, as well as FM radio and many, many more that I personally have put out there for years. And so has she. So we've been syndicating over 7 years all over the place, including with Revolution Radio and Cosmos Radios in the universe. So wherever you find your podcasts live, we appreciate it. As also, we have the recordings that stay here hopefully forever. So that's why we are archivists and researchers. I'm very excited about Ira Pastor, who's one of our regulars with our ACO Association, being an entrepreneur. He owns his own company called Bioquark. He is the Chief Executive Officer, as well as for the first 30 minutes, we're going to have Jan Harzan of Harzan, I'll let him say it properly, in California. So I've asked him to come over, and I don't know how much time he's got tonight. Hold on. Got Ira listed first, and I'm getting some feedback. Okay, Ira Pastor, introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of a biotech company located here on the East Coast of the United States in Philadelphia, which has labs in Tampa. And we are an organization that is focused on basically studying all of the other creatures that inhabit this planet with us, some, with rather unique powers, whether that be complex forms of regeneration or the ability to revert cancer or the ability to turn back time and become a child again later in life, or even die and come back to life, and basically ask the questions, why as humans can't we do these things? And ultimately how, using the technologies and tools that we have available to us in 2019, how can we reawaken some of this potential? Because the ability to reawaken some of this potential really offers a very unique and promising future for all of mankind. So that's who we are and what we're focused on.
Thank you. Jan Harzan, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days, and we'll get you two talking to each other with Jan and me. Go ahead.
That'd be great. Thanks. Ira, I need some of that stuff immediately. So thank you. I'm Jan Harzan, Executive Director for the Mutual UFO Network. We're celebrating our 50th year as an organization, nonprofit, and we basically investigate UFO sightings reported to us by the public. Many people don't know, but we get 500 to 1,000 a month through our network all over the world. And our network of 600 trained field investigators who are active today go out and investigate those and publish the results online. So that's the main thing we do, but we also have another part of MUFON, which is working on some of the things that I think Ira just talked about, and that is our experiencer research team under the direction of Kathleen Marden and George Medich. Kathleen, of course, as the niece from Betty and Barney Hill fame. And we get probably 5 to 10 experiencer questionnaires a day from people who are reporting interactions on a daily basis with non-human entities. So that seems to me to be something important for us to look at and try to figure out what exactly is going on and put that data out for the public to see.
Thank you. Now let me get Janet to introduce what we're doing. Janet, if you could introduce us. We've had Kathy Martin on here, and Janet, just give us a rundown of how you see you and me and Kathy all working together with these two gentlemen.
Oh yeah, we've had Kathy Martin and her. We've had Stanton Friedman and who's the other author anyway? Kathy has written some books with another lady. I can't remember her name right now. I've been working with MUFON indirectly since the late 80s. I first reported one of my experiences to somebody when I was at Penn State University. The MJ-12 secretary, and I forget his name, became president of the Penn State University. So I'm putting in a report, and I can't remember the guy's name right now. I know that Grant Cameron does a thing about the MJ-12 secretary, former secretary of MJ-12 was a professor emeritus at Penn State University. So I'm working there, and I'm doing my MUFON report, and I end up going into the office of this guy, and I had to deliver packing. It was really creepy. It's like, oh my God, I just talked about this guy. So back then, the MUFON fellow said he had a report from the MJ-12 secretary, and then the guy took it back. He said, I won't support this. So we've been on the verge of this disclosure for many, many years. That was late 80s. So TJ and I interviewed hundreds. We started in 2012 interviewing a lot of experiencers, and I do shows on Revolution Radio, and TJ and I were on Revolution. And then it branched into a lot of the experiencer whistleblowers, so people that have been in these secret space programs and other black projects and been in underground installations and my labs. And lately I've been getting a lot of time travelers, and I've interviewed Andrew Shago for years. So TJ and I have been working with all these people since 2012, and then TJ and I have both been in underground military installations. TJ was in the military, and then usually they give you a front job. You're in the military, but then they take people that have military jobs and they end up giving them other jobs. So they get a paycheck, but they're in these other programs as well. Anyway, it's very extensive, what's emerging, but what I wanted to tie in what Jan's doing with our pastor. And Ira, you have all these technologies that you're inventing and creating and working on getting out to the world, but our secret space program already has all of them. And so you're like reinventing the wheel, but hopefully we can bridge that gap and get this out to the world, that these things like extreme physical longevity, reversal of age, those things are already going on. All these age rejuvenation, physical, actually there's a potential of immortality, and then we'll bring in Ira.
Well, I think
it's the other way around.
Yeah. So I heard what you said, Janet, and it's kind of like people who hold the belief that we already have faster than light travel, which I personally have that belief, but not everybody has that belief. But that doesn't help us if it's in the black world. In other words, if it's something that was done through a DARPA program or through some black project, it's not available to the general public. So I think what Ira's doing through his work is commendable, because he's trying to, even if he's reinventing it, it's still not available to any of us. So you have to do that. So I kind of see that too within the UFO field, because we know these craft are real. We had the big announcement back in 2017 by the New York Times, and the craft at that time, of course, we were told the craft were not ours, which is a big breakthrough for most of us in ufology. I think a lot of people were kind of like yawning. Well, of course we know they're not ours, but here to have someone with the credentials of the New York Times and Lou Elizondo, who was working for the Pentagon on the program, come forward and tell the public, no, these craft are real, they're not ours. That's a huge breakthrough. That's never been done before. We've been waiting 70 years for someone from the government to actually make that kind of announcement, and it happened. So now we can, our scientists, engineers can move forward without fear of, too much ridicule, because they're trying to, and they've already been doing this, many of them quietly doing it, trying to get faster than light travel to go. We've now opened the floodgates, and they're free to go chase that down and not have people make fun of them. So I think it's huge. We're making huge gains here, I think, in this field, and I think people need to recognize that and basically cheer it on, because it doesn't help us to throw stones at people. It just doesn't help us.
Right, and I have a friend that's a physicist, engineer, who's doing it with the technologies. He's working on this energy system that's used on spacecraft, and he's already started his first patent. So that's the first level. Yep. You got to get a patent, right? So he's playing the human 3D game, and he's hoping to get that out. And if anybody wants to help with that, write to me at aquarianradio@gmail. We're working on getting someone to produce it, someone brave enough to produce it. He already has it patented. It's ready to go. He's working on replacing engines first, like planes, trains, and boats. And it's a free energy system, but it's very high functioning. there are a lot of free energy systems, but they're not very effective. His is very high functioning, and he can explain it to you. His name is Dan Cooper, and I've been working with him. So we're living very exciting times. And then the next step is getting into cars. So they've already, have a hypothetical, and they're working on the patents for all this stuff. But then you can just swap out your engine, and it'll be this free energy system. It'll go 30 years, won't need any gas, any batteries. And then, of course, this is what's behind what he's due to travel to space. And so he's got it all, and he's systematically getting the patents done. It's a big process. It's a legal process, right? And then we have to get someone that's willing to mass produce these. We don't want the government to just make one prototype and then they shut it down, and it never gets past that. That's happened over and over and over again. Every time we talk about free energy, you go, oh, yeah, so-and-so invented it. It's been invented a million times. And that'll get us off these fossil fuels, and we'll stop killing our planet. Every time we fire up our cars or we turn up the heat or the air conditioning, we're killing ourselves. We're like lobsters in a pot, and we're slowly boiling to death. And we've got to stop this. And so anyway, really motivated to all angles, and I'm so excited about Ira's work. Ira, are you? We'll do Jan first, but I want to ask Ira if he's working with Aubrey de Grey. But go ahead, Jan. You only have like half an hour. We're halfway through it already. Go ahead. Back to you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I've seen estimates that within the next 30 years or less, we'll have no internal combustion engines in cars, but they're talking more about battery and hydrogen than they are any kind of free energy type cars. But this could move very quickly, because if you are letting the genie out of the bottle, and we know how some of the stuff works, we could see a very quick transformation on the planet. I'm thinking it's probably over the next 10, 20, 30 years. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but that's actually a very short period of time if you think about it, particularly those of us who are a little older. We know how quickly time flies, right?
Oh, yeah. And I hope it happens in my lifetime. So I'm really rooting with Dan, who's got it already invented, to getting it out there. And so we're all, it exists. That's what I'm saying. We need to get past the politics or the Illuminati or the Dracos or wherever they are keeping us from getting this technology, because, they're not supporting our life expectancy and survival as a species. Our planet is dying. And so they don't care about us.
but I would say that go ahead.
I wanted to get Ira to talk to you about how he would be involved with MUFON. Do we have a desk or a department that we could work together with?
Well, I mean, and forgive me if I have a limited scope here, but the one area that we have been spending more time on, in addition to sort of what we do on the regeneration and repair front, is the study of so-called extremophilic organisms. A couple of months ago, we brought these, and I refer to them as little aliens because they really don't match up with much in sort of the genetic tree of life, but there are these fascinating little organisms called tardigrades that we have swimming around in the lab now. And they're tiny and cute and are considered probably the only organism that are capable of surviving mass extinction events and complex astrophysical problems like gamma ray bursts and meteor impacts. They are capable of surviving temperatures down to negative 458 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to absolute zero. They're capable of being boiled. Pressure 6 times greater than the deepest oceans. Hundreds of times more radiation they can experience than a human and laugh very happily. And they can hang out in the vacuum of space. I mean, they've been taken up to the space station and they are put outside and they just do fine. And so, we love, when you talk about sort of some of these, what I refer to as the weird and the unknown in my particular segment of the industry. I love this stuff because, these are examples of sort of the superpowers that I would love to reconnect humans with, but at the same time, beautiful examples of stuff that most likely is floating around out there, because if you can survive all of that, you know, you're a space traveler. You're a galactic, you know,